My name is Michael Lawrence, and I'm going to be teaching you about the New Testament today. I just finished up my class on the New Testament survey along with Pathways, and I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to share what I've learned with you. I'm currently studying under my pastor, Blake Andrews, as an apprentice, getting my credentials to become a youth pastor. So, if you will join me. So the New Testament. The New Testament is the second section of the scripture that we read and know as the Bible. The first section is the Old Testament, but now that was the Old Testament was a section of time for the Jews before Jesus' life of the study of the law that they've read. And now we're on to the New Testament. The New Testament wasn't around during Jesus' time. The New Testament came out after Jesus' life. The New Testament includes 4 different sections. The first section being the Gospels. The Gospels are live accounts of either straight, like person to person, like being one of Jesus' disciples, having live accounts. Or maybe it's an apprentice of one of those disciples that have witnessed that and that have heard straight from eyewitness account and have made these gospels of Jesus' life. The next is the apostles, the letters of the apostles. This is apostles of Jesus. Mainly, the biggest one out there is Paul. Writing letters out to churches in different cities and different towns on not what they need to fix, but what they need to work on and what they need to strive towards if they want to be a powerhouse, I guess, of wanting to represent Jesus well to their town. Up next is the epistles. The epistles is kind of almost in the same jurisdiction of the apostles, and it ends with the apocalypse. So those are the 4 different sections that are kind of included in the New Testament. But what I really want to focus on is the Gospels. This is really kind of what the New Testament is about and what it's completely basically built off of. The Gospels are an account of Jesus' life and teachings. One of the most important parts about that and about the teachings is the parables that Jesus taught. The parables that Jesus taught, there is about 30 accounts of them through the 4 Gospels. The 4 Gospels being Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They all have accounts of parables. These are teachings that Jesus would make. It's kind of like a symbolism of taking one thing and it kind of looks like another. A parallelism is something that I learned, is like taking one thing and relating it to another thing to then signify it means this one thing together. But out of these 30, which is the most important? Which is the most important that can be taught in our lives? And going through research and just like reading through scripture, I found and I believe that the parable of the Good Samaritan stuck out the most to me. Not because it was just of a person being good, but because it includes the greatest commandment in it. The greatest commandment being here we are in Luke chapter 10, verse 26. "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this, and you will live." He goes on to explain a story of an injured man on the side of the road. And multiple people who are his same race, who are his same people, just passing by because they don't want to deal with him. They don't want to deal with the hurt person beggar on the side of the road. But here comes along this Good Samaritan, who's a Gentile, who is looked down upon, who is frowned upon this man. But he is the one who picks him up. He is the one who takes him and takes care of him and brings him to an inn. He pays out of his own money for the room to take care of this man. And Jesus is just portraying that we need to have the same heart. We need to have the same heart to not just ignore the people on the side of the road, to not just ignore the people who need help, who clearly need help in our dysfunctional, broken world today. So as we're going out into our daily lives, don't be afraid to step out in faith. Don't be afraid to say hello to the homeless person on the corner. Yeah, they're scary sometimes, but they've gone through a lot, and we can help them because we have the utmost help from the ultimate helper. And so, as we dive into studying the New Testament, we need to approach it with the mind of Jesus. We need to approach it that the calmness and the peace that Jesus had through his life. We need to represent the image of him. And so, as we're representing the image of him, we need to think like him as we read Scripture, as we read into the New Testament, as we read into the Acts of the Apostles, as we read into the Pauline letters, and as we read into Revelation. And that's all I have for you today. So as we're just diving into Scripture, just lean into Jesus and think like Jesus. Think like he did. And I know that you're going to find something there. Thank you.